Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, and welcome once again to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. I'm your weekly host, Brother James Muhammad. I'm honored to have on the show this afternoon my brothers from the Manefa Project.
Sir.
Brother Tiger, welcome to the show, brother.
Well,
And as well, Brother Malcolm, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, on October the 5th, 2019 at 11 a.m. at the Martin Luther King Labor Center, there's going to be a very important event. But before we get into that event, brothers, the Manefa Project, what's the inspiration behind and the purpose behind the Manefa Project?
The inspiration and purpose behind Manefa Project is that the word Manefa actually means Memphis. And if anyone has ever studied the history of ancient Egypt, or what we call Kemet, they would note that it was a very important cultural and educational and economic center for that particular region. And Memphis, right here in America, is pretty much the same. It was named based on that reason. With the Mississippi became the new Nile. And so what we did is we took the name and we want to also reflect what that historical cultural center provided for those people in that region. And so we center things around education and economics. So we provide a location such as this event and many more that offer not only educational opportunities but also vending opportunities for black businesses here in the city of Memphis.
Okay, great. Now, on October the 5th at 11 a.m. at the Martin Luther King Labor Center, Black State of Emergency. What is the inspiration behind this event? And you know, when you watch the news and look at one calamity after another, there was a time that, you know, when you see a calamity, black people really didn't take part in that calamity. But now, as I watch the news and look at the city of Houston, I see our people now unprepared, can't swim. Huh?
True.
So why is this event so important to our community?
I think for the very reason that you mentioned, because we're seeing it now happen more often in our communities. We often are not taught survival skills, at least not like we used to be anyway. So important things like fishing, growing food, boating, swimming, as you mentioned. And now is the time. We're seeing more and more calamities, and probably we'll see more because of climatic events and things that we may or may not agree is true, but we are seeing an increased number of hurricanes and earthquakes now, flash floods, mudslides and things of that nature. So we want us to be prepared and not, because other groups and other people are being prepared for these type of events, but there's no real central location that that's particularly targeting our community.
Okay.
So,
all right. Now, what can we expect at the event?
At the event, we can expect, of course, a lot of our local speakers, like Adrian Friday. He'll be speaking on a number of topics dealing with agriculture and growing different foods. We'll have Taquela Muhammad from the Mosque 55 here in Memphis, and she'll be teaching on how to deal with the rising prices of food, recession, and a number of different like first responder tactics that we can utilize for our family, so that we can have the technique to deal with a lot of these calamities and natural disaster preparedness. We have Brother Balewa Bayete. He'll be teaching on gardening, sprouting, and foraging. So he'll be teaching people different things and what they can identify as edible foods that grow in nature. Because a lot of the stuff we're gonna have to take control, and we're gonna have to put these things into our own hands. And then we have Sister Ida Muhammad. She'll be teaching on how to can foods, preserve foods, and what we can eat during the time of calamity, because that will become a very important thing. So, and then we have a special presentation which no one should miss. It might be the deal breaker. And then we have keynote speaker Dr. Umar Johnson. So he will be coming to speak, and he'll be laying down some very profound information.
Okay, and now, as I was listening to you, why do you think is that we as a people are not prepared?
I won't say it's just us as far as what we see as it relates to humans. Humans tend to seek comfortability. And I think that for us in this land, we've been struggling to get comfortable for so long. And now some of us feel like it's time to get comfortable. And so we're not further educating ourselves on things on insurance policies because things may go wrong at some time. So now we just get
Very important.
right. We just now wheeling our way to comfortability. We're not accepting the idea that it's not going to be fair, and it's something is obviously on its way, and it's time to prepare ourselves and our families for those type of events. And so I even started with myself. I looked at myself and said, man, am I prepared in the case, what can I do if the economic system crash, or if a major earthquake was to strike the city of Memphis and I can't go to work the next day? What could I do to help my family and myself? And so it started with us, and knowing that we weren't as prepared as we should be, we started to survey other people and say, we're not prepared. And so now it's time to do a workshop to get us prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, are we really prepared? Not quite, but we want to get there. I mean, Elijah Muhammad, he definitely warned us in the fall of America what we should be prepared for. And now we're seeing how all of these things are coming into fruition, and we're seeing it all sort of coming to a big, it's leading to a major event that's sort of looking as if it's about to sever a relationship between a certain people. So now we have to take our lives into our own hands of developing a certain form of self-sufficiency. And we have to ask ourselves, what remedies do we have that will help us to weather the storm? And so with us putting this together, we figured that this could help some of us in our community who takes it serious, but not only in Memphis, because we're looking to sprout out, and put it into other areas, but we definitely want people to take it serious, bring their family members, bring their neighbors, and start to develop ideas and plans on how to survive a natural disaster calamity in the fall of America.
Brothers and sisters, you're just now tuning in to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. I'm honored to have on the show this afternoon Brother Tiger and Brother Malcolm from the Manifa Project, and we're discussing an event, a very important event. I think we need to set everything aside on Saturdays. Don't go shopping, but come to this conference. It's called the Black State of Emergency. Disaster preparedness is going to be taught. Gardening is going to be taught. Many things are going to be taught there now. It's from 11 o'clock to 6 a.m.
From
11:30
to 7 a.m.
It's 11:30 to 7 a.m. The guest speaker will be our brother Umar. But brother, as you were speaking,
7 p.m. Yeah.
7 p.m. I'm sorry, thank you. As you were speaking, you mentioned the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's someone preparing us mentally for this, and have been giving out a warning for a long period of time. But as we watch the news now, it's one calamity after another, and we're not guaranteed a paycheck the next day. The country is over $21 trillion in debt.
Yes, sir.
And if we look back in 1930, the Depression came over a weekend. And Elijah Muhammad said, we're like Lazarus laying at the foot of the rich man begging for the crumbs that fall from his table. So if things get cut off, the welfare office might not be there. McDonald's might not be there. Just today on the news, I saw where they got record snow up north in one day, 4 foot of snow. They weren't even expecting the snow. Brothers and sisters, you have to ask yourself the question, if that happened in Memphis, how much food do you have for you and your children? If we live within the loop now, Hickory Hill, Whitehaven, how much food do we have to sustain our family? Do we have to go outside? And what would be the characteristics of the people in our community when starvation? It's our lot. We turn savage, we start robbing one another, things like that. So I think this event is really divinely guided to warn us to prepare ourselves.
The time and what must be done. We definitely have to learn different self-defense mechanisms, which is what we would talk about. We're definitely we may have to be on the run. We may not be able to stay in our homes because there are certain events that may cause us to have to create an evacuation plan, and we have to create and strategize a meeting point. So we need to learn map reading. We need to learn how to use a compass. We need to learn how to purify water. We need to learn how to
gaze the stars.
There you go.
To read the time of the years and things of that nature. How to take advantage. How to study soil. What soil is fertile for growth and what fertile is not, or how to make it such.
But you know what? I think our people, including myself, if we down to that last charge on our phone, then we panic.
Yes, sir.
You can't need a cell phone,
Right.
you know. So we have to be very careful now, because I personally lived through the Rodney King riots when I was living in Oakland, California. I lived through the Loma Prieta earthquake, the Oakland Hills fire. But because I had a Warner and I listened to the Warner, we had a pantry stored with foods. And the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan, during the Rodney King riot, he told the believers not to leave the house. And we know that obedience is better than sacrifice. Many people lost their lives during the Rodney King riots. But are we prepared for that today?
Right.
That's the question.
And right now, it seems as if we're ill prepared, you know, and
So,
and we need some form of mechanism like this event in itself that can help us to prepare for those sort of things. You know, one of the things that Farrakhan often tell us, watch the weather. And we see climate is getting worse and worse by the year. Every year, almost every month, that you see a new report of 1 month hotter than the previous previous year.
I think it was September in Memphis. We like
We're in October. Well, you and I remember back to school time mean put your coat on.
Right.
You might have snow in October. But see, I'm a fisherman. I studied the environment because based on the weather, the water, my presentation have to change when it comes to fishing. But we're noticing things that is going on in the lake. The algae is staying around a little while longer. The algae is affecting the food source.
Right.
The fish that we're catching, the bellies are flat, they're elongated. We're not catching them like we used to catch them.
Right.
And we'll notice we're missing the little beetles that swim on top of the water because of the algae sucks the oxygen out of the water. But it ill affects the fish. And the first fish that responds to this change are shed. And that's a part of the food source. So you have to know which waterways to fish in.
Right.
Usually around this time of the year, we'll be catching white bass because the temperature in the water have dropped.
Right.
They become active. And also the crappie become active. But now it's 97 degrees practically in the month of October.
Basically.
There are signs.
Right.
Clear signs that something is going wrong.
Right.
And you can call it biblical, I don't care, whatever you call it. But I like to quote the scripture when it said God will mix the seasons up. Yeah. So something is going on, but we have to be prepared. Brothers and sisters, if you're just now tuning in to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show, I'm honored to have on the show Brother Tiger and Brother Malcolm from the Maneuphon Project, correct me, brothers. And there's a very important event that's going to take place on October the 5th at the Martin Luther King Labor Center this Saturday from 11 to 7. Come out, bring your family, bring your notepads, take notes, and it's based on our survival. And this event is a matter of life and death.
Right. Right.
And remember, just a few years ago, something happened in Memphis with the weather. Those who are confined to welfare, they was lined up over at the welfare office just trying to get water. And I went over there with my camera to interview people. And what I saw in the line was black women with babies just trying to get water. Mothers, you need to listen to these young men.
Right. We don't want to be in another Katrina sort of situation.
Right.
We want to be able to keep our babies in our hands. Because you still have parents today who really have no clue what happened to their children during the Katrina incident. So we want to make sure that we have the ability and the skills to take care of our own. Because one of the things that are written in the policy of FEMA is when natural disaster strikes, there are certain they won't be able to respond to certain issues or certain situations. We have to be able to we'll have to be our first responders.
And to piggyback off what he's saying, for any disaster, there always has to be a system of accountability. You have to be able to create a system where you can account for every head that is present or not present. And this will help us to better track our family members down and our other loved ones as well.
Right.
You said something very important, brother, when you talk about systems. I think the most important aspect of this event is unity. and us come together communicating, because our survival also is based on our brotherhood and our sisterhood.
Absolutely.
Who's your neighbor?
Right.
Who can you trust? Who can you depend on?
Right.
Not to go down to their house to get some food because your babies are hungry.
Right.
We have to be wise like grandmother. Grandmother always had a deep freezer and she stored food, right?
Right.
Had peas, corn, fish. And you and I have to get back in that mindset where we know our neighbors, love our neighbors, because we might have to depend on them.
We also need them, right?
You know, and this event allows us to come together and communicate and get to know one another.
Right, exactly.
Create that system of brotherhood and sisterhood.
In fact, that's one of our talking points we have, create a neighborhood rescue team. And basically, when there are certain situations like, civil unrest or Trayvon Martin situation, we have to be willing to go up, and defend one another. We have to be ready to protect one another. We can't just sit back and allow ourselves to be, destroyed and compromised. We have to protect our own communities and our families.
And add to that too, we also, as far as civil unrest, we're also seeing an increase in mass shootings.
Right.
This could very easily strike Memphis. I think recently police found or stopped some guy from a truck driver or something from coming to Memphis and doing a mass shooting at a church here in Memphis. I think they caught him in territory somewhere up north. I mean, what would that have done to our communities here in Memphis?
And to add on to that, I mean, a lot of people in Memphis feel like they're not vulnerable to a situation as such. I mean, look at what occurred in 2011 with the major flood in the front of downtown area. A lot of North Memphis was flooded out in North Haven, and a lot of parts in the downtown, the Mud Island area. And what a lot of people in Memphis don't know is that Memphis does sit on the new master fault line, and that's signed to say, I mean, it's due at any minute. But are we prepared?
We passed our 200-year anniversary, and as a member of the local rescue teams, it's real, and preparation is key, and it's king. So.
Okay. And one thing about when we get to know our neighbors, how many police you have live in your neighborhood, how many firefighters you have, do you have a first aid kit?
Right.
Right. How much medication you have, because now you live in you live in an area where there's high blood pressure and diabetes area of the house.
Right.
Can you survive, especially if you're diabetic? You have to have your insulin.
Right.
But what about your diet too? So, and then another thing to add to your survival kit is fasting. How long can you go without food?
Right.
You a father. Can you go a week to feed your children? Or will you start looking at your children for a meal? Now, Elijah Muhammad said that time will come. I'm reminded of a scripture in the Holy Quran. It says, surely the shock of the hour is the grievous thing. The day you see it, every woman giving suck will forget her sucker. And I will see men as drunken, but yet they will not be drunken. But the chastisement of Allah will be severe. Now, the chastisement comes after we reject the warner. You brothers represent a warning. This event represents a warning for us to prepare ourselves, and quit leaning on the public assistance, those things. They're not going to be around. The food bank is not going to be around. Katrina was a wake up.
All right.
And the government is going to say, who first?
Right, them. Right. We see what happened with Hurricane Harvey just recently. I mean, it's almost like we have a short memory.
Yeah.
But we have to be watchful. We have to stay woke, right? And we have to keep our skills together and intact. And we have to share those skills.
One thing, brothers and sisters, we in keeping up with the time, what must be done. People say, well, I don't like watching the news. Well, you need to watch the news.
Thank you.
At least watch the Weather Channel.
Thank you.
We never thought we would see the day when practically all of the Bahamas is underwater.
Right.
Think about that now.
Looking like puzzle pieces.
And not only that, you look at Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Yep.
And we saw how Trump administration responded to Puerto Rico. The same way they respond to Puerto Rico, they're going to respond to the ghettos or the urban areas or those within the loop. you know. They're gonna take care of those outside of the loop first.
Right.
So brothers and sisters, this is a warning for us on October the 5th, 2019, from 11 to 7 at the Martin Luther King Labor Center downtown, Black State of Emergency.
Do for Self Survival Workshop.
Do for Self Survival Workshop. Brothers and sisters, brothers in closing, if you have any closing, tell our people why is it so important for us to be at this event?
Survival.
Survival.
Survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest.
You will be learned, or you will be taught amazing skills on how to further your survival, your family's survival. It is a must. You also get a chance to create fellowship, a sisterhood, brotherhood with your neighbors and other people who live in that same area, who will also be learning or trying to become equipped with those same skills, and they may be the person that helps you.
Yep, you definitely want to be here. It's stuff that you will not learn in your colleges. We're able to learn for just a small donation. Just come through, check us out, and guarantee it will change your life. You'll come learning and leaving with more than what you came with.
Before we leave, brother, please read the flyer and let them know what to expect.
Well, some of the things to expect on Saturday, October the 5th. Of course, keynote speaker Dr. Umar Johnson. We have some demos and seminars that would be on learning how to purify water, CPR, first aid, developing first aid kit. We need to create a rescue team, as we spoke about earlier. We will learn some of the benefits and some of the techniques on how to fish from Brother James Muhammad. Absolutely. Foraging edible plants and learning what plants that we can identify that we can use as medicines, because there will be a lot of different infections and ailments that we will start to deal with when we see societal collapse. How to create a fire, map reading, self-defense, how to prepare for a recession, because as we see a lot of economists today, they are predicting a recession possibly within the next few months to a year, and how to prepare for natural disaster, and there'll be some fun. So come out, check us out, and we'll see you at the 485 Martin Luther King AFSC CME Beale Street, and we're just asking for a small donation. So check us out on our website at www.minefraproject.com.
Okay then. Brother, you have any closing statement?
No, I think he pretty much summed it up. Come on out, get these amazing, wonderful skills that some of you have, let's be honest, some of you have said that you were going to learn a lot of the things that are on that list that he just read off.
Okay.
Now's the time to get all of that in one location on the same day. And you can bring your family and friends out at a little to no small donation. You can come out and learn these necessary needed skills in a single day.
All right. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you once again for tuning into the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. And once again, brother, thank you. An honor to have you on the show, Brother Tiger and Brother Malcolm from the Manifa Project. Brothers and sisters, remember, meet me there, October the 5th, 2019, from 11:30 to 7 p.m. at the Martin Luther King Labor Center, Black State of Emergency, Do for Self Survival Workshop. Until next week, brothers and sisters, peace be unto you.